I think, yeah.
Okay. Hello everyone, sorry for being late, everyone. Sorry, we start now. Hey, thanks for joining. Hey, David Finberger, no, you'll be outside. You can say that you had it with us later on. Everyone knows. Check the Andrew, I'm asking you to signal there and to be the fire brigade. I mean the fire brigade. Well, let's hope we're not going to get there, okay? No? Welcome everyone, welcome. That has been a week, huh? That has been a week. Can we all agree on that? Yeah. Okay, so welcome. If you people are here on the first time, if you haven't been here, we pray for the Mishkan Tefillah prayer book, Kevin. Mishkan, you can grab one over there, saying the pages. Jessica Sherman, Pete, yeah, with us. And a few people that say it's a privilege to see, everyone it's a privilege to see, but Bradley, Edith, and the kids, the Hannovers, the guest from Colombia, Mariana, hello. Hello, Adelaide San, Ish, Jobless, Father Mukesh was the brave driver, everyone else. And the most important, not the most important, but the Duchins are back in shul, ladies and gentlemen, the Duchins are back in shul. Yeah, exactly. And Gogoro, so welcome for you, first time. For the veterans, welcome everyone. Scott, everyone, those who usually come and those who don't usually come, welcome. Maybe we'll start with how good and nice it is for brothers and sisters to go together. 126. 126. Mukasa ladies, I'm going to call you soon to the lights. So, Pam, Kendra, I'm calling you in 5 minutes. 126. גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, ומנעים, הנה מה טוב, ומנעים, הנה מה טוב, ומנעים, הנה מה טוב, גם יחד, גם יחד, גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, מה טוב. Okay, friends, Hanukkah is a light in liturgy festival, which is nice because, you know, the high holidays, for example, are full of liturgy. There's just a few, and most of them are hymns relevant for the festival. So I'm asking you to move to 668, 669. And while you're moving to 668, 669, if you can get your finger on 572, which is the blessings. The hymns are alone and the blessings are alone because that's what the editorial committee decided. 572 and 668. And I'd like to start with Not by Might. Do you want to introduce the song? Yes.
Well, it's a song by Debbie Friedman, and its words are not by might and not by power, and by spirit alone. So by negotiations as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to notice a rhythm change. So I'm going to just show it to you to notice 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just try that. Notice it when you tell that. No, sorry, wrong key.
It's one of the classics of Debbie Friedman, based on the Zechariah 4:6. Not by might. The vision of the olive branches next to the menorah.
Not by might, and not by power, by Spirit alone. Not by might,
Another song will rise. Another song will rise. Another song will rise. Not by might and not by power, by Spirit alone, shall we all live in peace. Not by power, by Spirit in peace. Not by power, shall And the second song of the festival is 668. It's Shema. It's about the Maccabee, and this is a different layer of poetry when they are bringing it. In Israel, there are those who says Mi Melech Gvurot Adonai, like the miracles that God have made. But no, this song is about the human element in making the miracle happen of the people, and that's how do you call it? In two voices. So some of you, who knows that? Shema Bayamim Haim. Who knows that song in this audience? Who knows Beit Emanuel in this audience? Okay, we'll do our best. I'm honored to introduce to you a piece of liturgy. It's not complicated one, so it's okay. Might be some people, don't be shy if you get it. Lord Israel, and the Chodoya Kumagibol Goel. Lord Israel, and the Chodoya Kumagibol Goel. Lord Israel, and the Chodoya Kumagoel Goel. Lord Israel, so Maccabee Boshia Uvyamenu Kol Am Yisrael Yitached Yakum Veigael.
Join in the last verse.
Lord Israel and Bechodo Yakum Hagibol Goel. Okay, so the obvious goal is until next year Hanukkah that you will sing it better. We'll rehearse it. After high holidays, welcome, Jackie, Vicky, welcome. Thanks for coming. Good, good. That's the time to move to 572. Let's light the candles. You can just on time. Okay, okay. So there are the candles, and let me invite the Mukasa ladies to light the Shabbat candles. We're first doing the Hanukkah candles, and then Mao's tour, then we're moving to the Shabbat candles. Let's rise. What? You can't hear me well. Well, I don't have a microphone. How about moving just closer? Sorry for not there. Okay, those who brought Hanukkah, come please forward, come forward. your. Will you stop with the small one? Okay, come forward. No, you will stop with this one. Good. So, Jewish thing, one page, 572, and then the other one, 669, Matovu. So for the inconvenient, is what it is. Why do you need to light the Hanukkah candles first and then the Shabbat candles? Because after you light the Shabbat candles, it's Shabbat. You cannot light the Hanukkah candles. Very simple. Are you giving the thoughts?
No.
Can I do the thoughts when you You want it back from Marco? Or I can do Master. I can do Master, brother. Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו במצוותיו, וציוונו להדליק נר של חנוכה. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשה ניסים לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. I don't know about that. That's the key. Yeah. We kindle these lights because of the wonders, deliverance you performed to our ancestors during these 8 days of Hanukkah. These lights are sacred. We are not to use them, but only to behold them, so that the glow may rouse us to give thanks for your wondrous acts of deliverance. Back to that 669, dude. Back to the 669. Mouse tool. 3, 2, 1, and mouse. ושם תודה נשבע, לעת אחיך מטבע, מצב נבע, אז אגמור בשיר מזמור, חנוכת המזבח, אז אגמור בשיר מזמור, חנוכת המזבח. Will standing, please remain standing. Candle blessings for the Shabbat 118. If you don't hear me, please move to the front. There's plenty of seats. I'm sorry. We are. אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. Let's be seated. Again. again. I'll try to project the voice better, but if you don't hear me, move forward. Kim, there is one Chanukia that didn't get. Maybe you and the kids can come light it. This one. This one. Can you help them light that Chanukia over there? Come. Yeah. You go. Yeah. Sorry. So that side. 129. We are on the evening service. First the Kabbalah Shabbat. Just assist in lighting that one while we're busy. 129. This is the intention. We enter the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history, now endless wandering, it has endured a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. His presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them the vision of their truest souls. Now we, in our turn, come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, and flows within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak. Let this drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. There is a sequence of psalms now leading to the Lechadodi, the main theme of the Shabbat 130, Psalm 95. בזמירות נריע לו, כי אל גדול אדוני הוא מלך גדול על כל אלוהים, אשר בידו מחקרי הארץ וטורפות הרים לו, אשר הים והוא עשהו, ויבשת ידיו יצרו. בואו נשתחווה ונכרע, נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו, כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו עם מרעיתו וצאן ידו, היום אם בקולו תשמעו. Come, let us sing joyously to God. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in a song. For the Eternal One is great God and grateful of all divine beings. In God's hands are the depth of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God. God is the sea, and God made it. God made the land, and God's head's passion. Come, let's bow down, kneel, bend the knee before God our Maker. For the Eternal One is our God, and we are the people of God's dance, the flock of God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד נורא, הוא על כל אלוהים, כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים, ואדוני שמיים עשה, הוד והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, ירעם הים ומלואו, יעלוז שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט הבל וצדק ועמים באמונתו. God will rule the world justly and its peoples in faithfulness. 132 at the bottom. All Zahuah Tzaddik, light is from the righteous and radiance for the upright. All Zahuah 132 bottom. Tzaddik, ולב שמחה, עוז הרוח לצדיק, ולב שמחה, עוז הרוח לצדיק, ולב שמחה, ולב צדיק ולשלם שמחה, ולשלם שמחה. תוזרו על הצדיק ולשלם שמחה, ולשלם שמחה, ולשלם שמחה. Please join me for the English 133. You can do it, okay? It's English. The Eternal One is sovereign. Let the earth exalt, the many islands rejoice, dance, clouds are around God. Righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. Oh, you love God, hey, evil God, guard the lives of your loyal one, saving them from the hand of the wicked. Light this song for the righteous, radiance for the upright. Oh, you righteous, rejoice in the eternal, and acclaims God's holy name. A psalm, sing to God a new song, for you have worked wonders. You righted, your holy arm have won you victory. Eternal One, you have shown your victory, displayed your justice at the sight of the nations. You are mindful of your love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth behold the victory of our God. And we're moving to the last page of the sequence 137. It's the second half of Psalm 29. This is the psalm that Adam and Eve kind of said when they woke up and Friday afternoon, they discovered that they were created. There's a whole world coming up here. So that's the song with the many voices, Kol Adonai, the voice of God. If you look on the Vulgate, it's a Vox Domini, and so on. 137. Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel layalot, vayechesov ye'arot uvehei halo, kulo merkavod למה בול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעמו ויתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. May God grant strength to our people. May God grant our people peace. So now we have arrived the Lecha Dodi 138, 139. This is the main Kabbalistic hymn from the 16th century and the tradition of the Kabbalistic circles, the maids and the sages to go to the out of the city of Tzfat to welcome the Shabbat. And this is like, come, my beloved, let's go address the bride within the tradition of wedding songs. And it's interesting to see who is the bride, because it changes. Is the bride Zion? Is the bride the Shabbat? Is the bride the people of Israel, the Knesset, like the collective feminine energy of the Jews? You can see if you follow the words that it's not clear who is the bride. It's like rotating. It's part of the beauty of the song. And the person wrote his name as an acronym on Shlomo Halevi. Every letter starts one verse. So we basically wrote his name, Shlomo Halevi. And as I invite you to reflect on this week, I believe it's past. Next week we are concluding 2022. And I wish for you in these last days to squeeze as much as you can and to be restful. Okay? To squeeze as much task as you still can from this week and to be restful. And I'd like to, the image I can bring for that is the oil. The olive oil is one is the purity, and second is the sustenance. It's not just surviving surviving mode when you can only get the flour and the water to make your humble bread. It's with oil. Oil brings the health, symbolizing the health and the ability of the soul to ignite, to bring light to the other. So that's what I'm inviting you to focus on. Not only to survive, but there will be oiliness, healthiness, red cheeks, livelihood, robustness. It's hoppy. Hopi Native American, my Rabbi Levi Valman Kelman, who grew up in the 60s in the US. He captured that in his journeys in the late 60s and brought it with him to Israel to follow Shabbat. Verse 5, 139 top. Now we raise and face the door, welcoming the Shabbat. Straight to Psalm 92, page 140, a psalm to the Shabbat. It is good to praise God and sing hymn to your name, O Most High. Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat. 140 top. Leyom HaShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. עיר רחוק ירחסך, ואמונתך היגיון בחינו לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. אדוני לפונך, ועשה ידיך הרמה. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. תזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. Bottom of 140. The righteous bloom like a dead palm, they thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the eternal one's house, they flourish in our God's court. In old ages still produce food, are full of sap and freshness, attesting that God is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. Friends, with that we conclude the psalm sections and moving to the evening service, starting on the Baruch 146. Let's rise and bless the Shema and its blessing, and then the Amidah service, and so on. As we continue 148, the blessing for the evening. Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, and understanding changes time and seasons, and who arranges the stars in the heavenly courses according to plan. You are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot, Lord of hosts, is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign over us into eternity. Blessed are you, eternal one, who brings on evening to Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. 150. Let's look at least the beginning in the Hebrew. We'll read it slow together. Ahavat olam Beit Israel amcha ahavta, Torah umitzvot, חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת, על כן אדוני אלוהי בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We're moving to the Shema, 152, 153. First there is the shh, which is the quieting. Then there is the which is the resonating. Then there is the which is the epiphany, the understanding. Okay, indulge it. Take like at least 45 seconds or so. Shh. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed 154, 155 ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך 155 bottom למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת 157 top the intention for Milchamocha, the blessing of the redemption 157 top please join me okay standing on the battle shores of history we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt that there is a better place a promised land that the winding way to the promise passes through the wilderness that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together Milchamocha 158
Tongue twister. See if we can join it.
Blessed are you, Tema, for redeeming Israel. The benefit of this tune, it's a here the Latin pattern. It's a bossa nova. It's a bossa nova thing. Like Giorgio Gilberto. $161 top. We are asking for God's protection. Then we are mentioning the Shabbat, and we're moving to the Amidah section. 161 top. Please again read it with me because this is the part when we ask God to protect us. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Eternal One, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all of your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch Adonai haporech sukat shalom aleinu ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים ישמחו 162 those who keep Shabbat by calling it delight will rejoice in your will. ישמחו 162 bottom. What's up, Ellie? What? Returning to the Bima. This one, are you okay? You feeling even better? This with belly. Yeah, you can have one. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, Bekorei Onegonik Shabbat. Shvi, Kulam Yisrael ve'itaku, mitu ve'Shabbat, Shabbat. Yisrael, Yisrael, B'malchuta, Yisrael, Yisrael, B'malchuta. Shomrei Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, Bekorei Onegonik Shabbat. Shomrei Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, Bekorei Onegonik Shabbat. Shvi Hatzita Bo, Hatzita Bo, V'kidashto, Elet Yamino Tokarata, Zecher Lema'aseh Bereshit. Yismechu, Yismechu b'malchuta, Yismechu, Yismechu b'malchuta. Shomrei Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, Bekorei Onegonik Shabbat. Shomrei Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, Bekorei Onegonik Shabbat. That's an East European tune, like an old Ashkenazi tune we live in Africa here. We are moving to the Amidah section, and after that things will chill, I promise you. Or not, I don't know. There's still Kevin Bloom coming, so chill it will not be. 164, I'd like to invite the tourists to open the ark. The Torahs, they look like a family of Torahs doing selfie. You should see it. Over there. There is only one. Okay, this is the one, but you can stand in both sides. Like Ursh, smile to the camera. Evelyn. Ursh. Ursh. Adonai sefatitahu bi'aditei. 166. Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotzeinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Lea, האל הגדול הגיבור הנורא, העליון גומר חסדים טובים וגומר הכל, וסופר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשה ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ובעזרת שרה. אמן. 168. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה ומושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד אתה השם, מצליח השם ושומרים אתה. 173 top. Join me, English. May this hour of breath and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to good. May all who struggle find breath on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who aspire find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh Shabbat 175. אצא אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל ותפילתה באהבת תקבל ותהי תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך ברוך אתה אדוני שופר מחריבה נעבור. 177 top English. Please join me. God of goodness, we are grateful for your many bounties, for the protecting care with which you love shelters us, for the knowledge that wherever we are in your presence. May your teaching enrich our lives and challenge us to give evidence of our devotion. May our words and our deeds hallow your name and make us worthy of your blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Hatov Shivcha Ulecha Na'ed Leodot Shalom Rav. Abundant peace 178. Stop. תשים לעולם, אבל ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, כי אתה הוא מלך הדור, לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך הדור, לכל השלום, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, ונפעל לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, שלום שלום על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, שלום שלום על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. עשית עבודה מעולה. Okay, welcome to those who join in the meantime. Where did I should take the camera? That's my camera. Welcome.
They're able to hear the music.
Well, are you able to hear the music? Neville, David. Yeah, the same? Yeah. May the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable to you, O God, our rock and our deliverer. May the one who make peace in the highest places make peace over us and all of everyone as we say Amen. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. 180 bottom. 180 bottom. Amen. Shalom, במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. Shalom Imromavu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Israel Ve'al Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imenu Amen. Oseh Shalom Imromavu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Israel Ve'imenu Amen. Oseh Shalom Imromavu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Israel Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel Ve'imenu Amen. Amen, so be it. May those who sow in tear will reap in joy. We're moving to page 371. And it's special prayer for the sick at the conclusion of the Amidah service. So for all our beloved ones who are in infirmity, and it might be ourselves, our closer circles, spouses, siblings, parents, children, the whole array, whenever there is suffering. May there be solace, may there be healing, may there be recovery. 371, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. Sorry, may the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored, for the strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say Amen. Mishabera.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say,
Bless those who need of healing with refuah Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Thanks, Jess. Welcome again. Shalom. Chag Sameach. Shabbat Shalom. Bruchim Habayim. Welcome. We greet you from the house of the Lord. The festival of Hanukkah derives from the ancient light celebrations of the northern hemispheres. The Talmud describes in Avodah Zarah, Tractate 8a, they talk about Adam the first, Adam and Eve, and how they witnessed the universe as cold and frightening, going back to dark. I'll read you those few lines for the tractate. The sages thought, when Adam the first saw that the day was progressively diminishing and the days become shorter from the equinox until the winter solstice, he didn't know the meaning of this, and he say, "Vow for me, because it is of my sins the world would become dark again and ultimately return to the primal state of chaos and disorder. And this is the death that was sentenced upon me from heaven as for my sins. As it says, to the dust you shall return." And he arose and he spent 8 days in fasting and lamentation and prayer. But once he saw the season of Tevet come, this is Kislev, now Tevet, the winter solstice had arrived, and saw that the day was progressively lengthening after the solstice. The days are again, he said, clearly the days become shorter and then longer, and this is the order of the universe. And he went and he instituted a festival of 8 days. This is the basic origin of Hanukkah, before the stories of the Maccabees, before the stories of the temple, before there was Hanukkah or Christmas or Ramadan, before people made faith into a religion. And the winters back then, before electricity, were much more darker and colder than we can imagine. And every day was somewhat a bit more dark, and life had been devoured by the darkness. People sat at homes, tried to get warm, and believing that the sun will come back. It's not irreversible. And this is how in all cultures this festival of the shortest day of the year has become the longest night. And in this day, people come together, they make a lot of light, they bring light together, they give presents to one another, they celebrate, they eat and they drink and they sing and they dance together. The winter is not yet done, but this is the worst. And from here, days will become a bit longer, and there is hope, there is progression. What is the light? The light of the Spirit. We should all pay attention to it among all the darkness there is. And I would like to ask on that phase, what is that spiritual light? What are we striving? How and in which manner these ideas from our past are relevant to us today? What does it even mean to follow the light? Don't go away, I need you now. Keturah, I need you now. With the light. Which light are we marching? We are marching in the light of, let's give it an honor for a minute, okay? A song I learned in the village. Can we have it? We are marching on the light of God. We are marching on the light of God. We are marching on the light of God. We are marching to the light of God. We are marching, we are marching. We are marching, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, we are marching. We are marching in the. Can I have a little bit of help now? Siahan bakukwanyan kwanko, siahan bakukwanyan kwanko, siahan bakukwanyan kwanko, siahan bakukwanyan kwanko, siahan ba, siahan ba, siahan ba. Siahamba kukwarien kwanko, siahamba, siahamba, siahamba kukwarien kwanko. Last time English, come on, come on. We are marching in the light of God. 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 Thanks. I can go forever. Thanks. So our desire, thanks for that. Our desire is to partake in the creation of a world that heals itself and that brings peace and compassion. And we wish for this desire to be manifested in the revealed reality May its roots go deep and its trunk firm, its branches reaching out, and its fruits transform all those who engage with it. We come from different backgrounds, but we all connected to the idea of renewal and of rejuvenation, as we're celebrating here the rededication of the temple after the disaster. And this notion is apparent in all methods and in all our respective realms of action. I want to give example. Barry, you can tell them 10 minutes. 10 minutes with them, okay? You can go tell them. You can come to the suites in 10 minutes. In spirituality, the fire element, we'd like people to practice mind-body balance, mindfulness, and devotional life of service in accordance to each one's talents in their respective gifts. In the emotional level, that's the water element, we would like to enable space and context for listening circles from one side and robust discussions from the other side. The traumas that we are dealing with are immense and intense, and our role is to talk and to listen in a manner which will bring healing, consolation, and hope. In the realm of social and political intellectual awareness, this is the air element. We'd like people to educate themselves and free their minds from prejudice, to be honest and reflective about their biases, about our biases, so we could all meet on the level, like we say in the Masonic language, on the Masonic craft, on the level. And here our goal is to create a new language to conceptualize and to comprehend the complicated systems we have created. We have created a system to serve us, but they have become oppressive toward the human spirit, the human life, and the human development. And on the material level, earth element, it is our duty to bring environmental values, skills, and knowledge into the mainstream. And the two main methods are permaculture and regenerative agriculture, mainly in the urban gathering context, including facing the challenge of land restoration, and the second, water harvesting. Those two fronts are crucial, and we simply cannot afford to fail in them. We must stand to this moment. And we are not alone. We have many, many friends and allies. This place, Beit Emanuel, is a vibrant, genuine, and steady beacon of our progressive Jewish values, knowledge, and skills. And we will continue to hold and to foster this space, making sure that all those outside who are scattered in the wilderness will know that they are not alone. And tonight, out of many friends and allies, I've chosen to invite for a few words a friend who is a whistleblower. And for me, there's a clean line connecting between the Maccabees struggling against the Greek Syrian Empire pressure back in Judea on the 2nd century before Common Era, and our contemporaries' environmental fights. In both cases, the goal is that all shall inherit dignity. And in both cases, the land itself is a crucial element of the game. And most importantly, in both cases, the few must face the many. The humble must face the mighty ones, with an ongoing vigilance, extreme alertness. And as Proverbs 24:6 says, for it is with wise tactics you shall wage war, and with the many counsels you will win your victory. Now we have many, many friends, fellow clergy from all faiths, scholars, healers, activists, musicians, artists. But of all of that, I'd like tonight to give the stage to a representative of those who dare to go to the darkest places in our society and boldly to bring it to our attention of the public. The price for it is a considerable personal risk for which we are thankful. I'm referring to the rare and precious species of investigative journalists. And friends, with your permission, I'd like to call forward a fine member of this unique club, the head of our Burning Planet desk, in the Daily Maverick, one of the founders of the Daily Maverick, a talented author, a brave whistleblower, fellow Jew, father, and a dear friend, Mr. Kevin Blue. You want to sit? You want to stand? I wasn't planning that. You can, you can sit here or just do your thing. Do your thing. Do your thing.
Thank you, Rabbi, and it's a real honor to be here. It's a very special gathering here tonight. It's blessed. It's a blessed gathering. In October of 2018, I was in a hall that looks exactly like this one below the Great Park Synagogue. The rabbi of this shul, for reasons that many of you will know, is a much closer friend of mine than the rabbi of that shul. We were talking about something inane. The topic, I was on stage with another two writers who were Jewish, Richard Poplak and Anton Harber, who's a well-known journalist. And the topic they had given us to speak about was writing novels in the age of Twitter. I didn't want to speak about this for two reasons. My father had died the week before. And the day after my father died, a report came out, put out by the Intergovernmental Planet on Climate Change, which is a UN-sanctioned body. And 91 of the world's top climate scientists had decided in this report that they weren't going to censor themselves anymore. And they were going to tell the world exactly what was going on, and they did. And for the first time ever, it made the front pages in mainstream news across the world. So New York Times, Sydney Morning Herald, The Guardian. And what that report said was that unless we cut our unless we cut our carbon emissions by 45% by 2030, the fabric of modern civilization is going to begin to unravel. This was in October of 2018. And anyway, the debate goes on about Twitter and novels and rubbish for the next 20 minutes. And I sort of say, and the hall looks remarkably like this one. Why are we talking about this when we got that? And I got many nods in there, like I'm getting nods here. Why are we talking about this when we got that? And I went, I left, and a friend of mine who I had just written a book on Africa with, looking at Africa's conflicts and corruption. This was Poplak. We decided that at Daily Maverick, what we needed was an environmental investigations division. And within a week, we had one. And we called it Our Burning Planet. And in October of 2018, that was a pretty sensationalist headline. But what we now know in hindsight, more than 4 years later, is that there's nothing sensationalist about it. This is a burning planet. And then we see it in front of us all the time. But the way this manifests in South Africa is there's a direct link between state capture and ecosystem collapse. And we knew there was, even then, because we had just put out the Gupta leaks the year before. And the Gupta leaks was what had brought state capture to South Africa's attention. And it was our story. And we knew that it was bleeding in, and we knew that when we drove down the N4 to Ubombela or even beyond to Nkomati, we knew when we drove up the N1 through Limpopo to Messina, we knew when we drove down the N1 to Cape Town that the country didn't look like it did 10 years ago, that there was decay, there was a rot, and it wasn't just in the infrastructure, it was in the land itself. And we knew we'd find those links. And those links took me personally. I mean, our division grew very quickly. We're now the biggest environmental investigations division in the Southern Hemisphere. There are 10 of us working on this full time. We have a full-time journalist based in the Eastern Cape, Tembilis Kolana. We have Onke Nguka based in Cape Town. We have Ethan van Diemen from the Cape Flats. We have Don Pinnock, who's one of our great environmental writers, famous editor of Getaway magazine and the writer of many books about the beauty of our heritage and the biodiversity that exists in this country. We have a wonderful team. We have Tony Carney, who broke the story on the toxic spills in eThekwini and is leading coverage on why the beaches on KZN can't be visited anymore. I mean, how many of us have been to Umhlanga, have been on Umhlanga Beach this time of year? It's closed. There's a direct link there between state capture and ecosystem collapse. My personal investigations, yeah, I've written on quite a few topics, but for the last 2.5 years, I've been chasing he's still our deputy president, not for much longer, because he was voted out at the ANC elective conference, but David Mabuza, he's known as the cat. And his specific form of state capture was about capturing the land. Now, the question is asked from those who spread this information on our social media platforms, how can you capture the land from the person to whom the land belongs? I.e., how can a man of color in this country steal the land? Here's how it works. The Restitution of Land Rights Act, the cornerstone of our democracy, one of the first pieces of legislation that was passed by the post-apartheid government, enshrined in Section 25 of our Constitution, states that only those who are dispossessed of land after June 1913 can put in a valid land claim. The reason for that date is because that's when the Native Land Act was passed by, who was it at the time? Was it Smuts? We worked on one of them.
Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. And Mabuza becomes a strong man of Mpumalanga. The way that this money is brought back, you know about the willing buyer, willing seller. So the money that the taxpayers pay to the state is used to go and find a willing seller who's going to be a Boer and pay him a fair price for the land if there's a valid land claim. That land claim has to be proved, and there's a land claims court and this process in order to ensure that the equitable redress of land in this country happens, because if it doesn't, this country doesn't happen. And we all know that because the land has been stolen. And Mandela has, you know, I see some dissent there, but that's okay. I came across this story through a guy by the name of Fred Daniel, who was regenerating land in one of the most sacred parts of this country. It's called the Makonjwa Mountains. We have some Sangomas in this room tonight, and Baba Credo Mutwa knew of the sacredness of the Makonjwa Mountains. The geologists knew of the sacredness of the Makonjwa Mountains that holds the oldest exposed fossilized rock formations on Earth. It's a geological El Dorado. It's about 3 hours down the N4. And this conservationist by the name of Fred Daniel, who had a lifelong dream to make a lot of money in his 30s, bought up 39,000 hectares of land there. And he didn't know about the geological treasures there, but he was told, he got letters from professors of geology at Stanford and from Wits University. And again, these mountains, the Makonjwa Mountains, hold evidence of the first time the continent, it's 3.5 billion year old rock. So it's the first time a land mass emerged from the magma that is Earth. It holds evidence of the first atmosphere. It holds evidence of the first time that the tides affected the seas through the moon. It holds what's known as Luca, the last universal common ancestor. NASA sent their geologists out there in the 60s, just before they did the moonshot, to see what they might find on the moon. This is deeply, deeply sacred space. And our Sangomas in this country, our real Sangomas, know this because they get this in visions around an ancient site called Nzalo Yalanga, which means birthplace of the sun. This is deeply beautiful and deeply sacred. And this happened to be the land that Fred was preserving. And he comes up against the land claim scam. And he comes up against this criminal enterprise. And in this criminal enterprise, you've got white farmers who are speculators and who are offering 3 times the price that they might have paid for it 2 years before to the white farmer there, as long as he doesn't dispute the land claim. And then they're putting another 1,000% on the price, and they're milking. And they milked, according to Judge William Heath, in 2015, 35 billion from the South African economy. And this has been a story that has been ongoing for 20 years because there's been no justice, because the police are captured, because the NPA is captured, because there have been missing files from the Hawks, because there have been dead bodies, many dead bodies, because Fred's life has been threatened. And when we're looking at state capture and we're looking at this elective conference that just happened, and I'm not talking about politics, I'm not a politician, I'm an investigative journalist, I'll show you the facts. We're talking about a criminal enterprise. We're talking about an enterprise of state capture, and they're stealing our heritage, and they want us dead so that they can eat. And we all know this, and we're all feeling this anxiety in this country right now. It's very dark. And those who know me well know that when I go into the dark, I don't stop. And it drives me mad and those who are close to me mad on a bad day. On a good day, what I'm looking for down there is the light. And I think all of us here are in South Africa in, December of 2022. We're not in Australia. We're not in India. We're not in Botswana. We're here. And we're here with human feces on our beaches and potholes in our roads. And a power utility that is captured by coal mafias and criminal enterprises. And we're chasing those guys now too. And we have a team. And that's pretty much all I can say on that. But if you're watching, if you're looking at the media, you'll see what's going on. What's being stolen is the very source of energy itself. And coal energy right now, I'm sorry, to come back full circle to what's coming for us, the biggest thing, the climate crisis. This is not the way. Coal is not the way. If you take a drive through Mpumalanga and you see the sex trafficking trade that rises up around the coal truckers, and you see what those communities look like, you have a look at what their mortality statistics are. You have a look at the fact that they don't live much past 53, 54. You have a look at a high court case called the Deadly Air case, which environmental activists brought against the government and won. And then you have a look at the fact that the highest people, your leaders, the highest people in South Africa's government have captured this and are eating it themselves. There are 4,500 South Africans, 4,500. They were all in Nasrec. And they are eating everything in this land on behalf of 60,800,000 of us. That's what's going on. That's how dark that is. That's how dark that is. And when we're talking about Hanukkah, if we're talking about the Maccabees, we're talking about a revolution. And we're not talking about the revolution of Bar Kokhba, which comes 400 years later, where they fail. We're talking about a revolution of spirit. And we're talking about a bringing of the light to the land where there's certainty beyond faith. And it's what we need right now. It's exactly what we need right now, because that darkness is bottomless. And you don't fight it by encircling it. Ramaphosa tried to send the army and we don't have an army. The police have been captured. It's not going to happen. There's no one coming to save us, not the Americans. In fact, it seems like the Russians are working for the other side. So, I mean, that's as dire as it is. And that's what we know at Beit Emanuel, for a fact. And it's not just us that know this. For me, tonight, on Hanukkah, it's about the personal light we each can bring. And that might sound esoteric, and it might sound new agey, but I can make a very good case for the fact that I'm not esoteric or new age. I can show you the facts, and we're just not going to win in the old ways. It's just not going to happen. There needs to be a new earth, and that new earth is built eternally. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Now, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Kevin, for coming. I think maybe we can do like 2-3 short comments or questions, really short. Wrap it in 4 minutes, everything. So there are any responses that people would like to say or to ask? If not, they stay here for the brucha. Yes, Ivy.
That's my daughter.
Yeah. Okay, answer the question. We're getting short in time. Answer the question.
It's not really.
Thanks for that. We can discuss it further. The Americans are complicated, you know. Jesus said, "Beware of the wolves who look in the sheep, the wolves in the skin of sheep." Yeah, and the swine to the pigs. Exactly. Yeah, there was somebody here. What? Somebody here was. Yes. Short.
Honestly, not too harsh on South Africa. We always, when similar things happen across the world, aren't we too hard on our own people? When similar things are happening across the world, it's not just a South African thing.
Okay, what's the singularity of the South African experience versus the corruption that is everywhere else?
That's a great question. And you're right. And this is global. Africa's a birthplace where you know the cradle of humankind is a real paleontological archaeological fact. The Makonja Mountains are an archaeological fact. Black Lives Matter in the US doesn't happen without roads must fall or fees must fall. In terms of our racial consciousness, we're the canary in the coal mine. That's my personal belief, and I'll defend it, and it's fine if people disagree, but that's my answer to that question.
Okay, thanks for that. Last one, yeah.
Yeah, you've had exposure to many other continents, contexts. The spirit of resistance here, is that, and this links to what you've just said, perhaps, the spirit of resistance, is there anything that you see that offers us like something that we can become part of, that we can add to, that we can build on, that we can rise and zanzi? Is there anything?
So I see it right in this room. Look in this room. I mean, if this is not South Africa, what is South Africa? But Songeza Zivi personally, I think Rise and Sanzi, they have to pass the Electoral Amendment Act. The Constitutional Court gave them until 2 weeks ago. ANC are refusing because they know it's the end of it, but they have to. So there are these pockets happening everywhere, and they're all linked. And it's about creating those networks. It's a fractal of light versus 4,500 individual, pieces of darkness who are now turning against each other. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that watching the beast falling is ugly and long and painful. Okay, right of the last word to Mr. Manoin from Generation 2. Yeah, you skip. But you're happy to see that there is next generation to investigative journalists and that people are willing to take this gratitude. Okay, last round of applause. Pam, can you get the kids? Get the kids now. Now they will get the sweets. Let's do the Kaddish first. You get the kids. Come quietly. We're starting to wrap. The time is. There's great pizzas. You got to stay. 7:30. Come on. Good. Well, I'm glad we aired it, because that was part of the plan, just to air it and put it in the psychic net and make it like sustenance. It's not something that we are imagining or something that we are paranoidic or something. No. Situation is there objectively. Okay. So let me just read first the Yontzak this. We move to page 598. 598 to the Kaddish. 598. And we are in our thought in memoriam of Isabel Finder, the mother of David Finder, who is with us in the Zoom. Julius Galvin, father of Larry Galvin. Geoffrey Midlane, remembered by Aline Midlane. Joy Ovens, the mother of Wendy Kaminsky Ovens, and Michael Williams, beloved and venerable loved husband of Mel Williams and father of Jeff and Philip. Is there any further names or yahrzeit that somebody would like to mention? I'd like to mention all those who died on the stubborn and unfulfilled struggle for human liberty and for human dignity. All those who lost their life for that. Get the kids we're just doing the Kaddish first, okay? 198. Get the kids. Bryce, I'm on Barbara. Yeah, I'm on limited time here. Nobody, get the kids. I'm reading Kaddish now. Get the kids. 198. 598. התגדל והתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא ויראה חירותי, להמליך מלכותי, וחייכון ומלכון ומחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויראו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלך ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו. לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה ושבחתה ונחמתה ואמירה ואמרה וידעו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה וישועיה וחיים רבים וכל ישראל וידעו אמן. עושה שלום ורובה הוא יעשה שלום עלינו וכל ישראל עוד האדם ויאמרו אמן. Thank you. Can I have come all the kids, all the kids. Jesus said, bring me the kids. The kids are you. Kid goats become billy goats. Yeah. See you? Yeah. Okay. Hey. Well, yeah. Okay, I think we should start from the small ones, but I want to bless you. Come over here. Somehow we'll make a plan. Just be careful with the candle. I'll just reach out to you, everyone. Okay, I'm reaching out to everyone. Okay. So first, kids, know that we love you and that you're important. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about Angela Lansbury later. Let me just finish. Okay. And this is the festival of struggle for liberation. Each one has a struggle for liberation, for self-emancipation, auto-emancipation. But if you need us, we are here. Okay, kids? Yeah, don't let them fool you. יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. No announcements, everything is cool. I'm here tomorrow 9:30. I'd like to thank the brave volunteers who made the give me a second. The latkes and the donuts and the pizzas and everything. So please stay with us and indulge. Can I ask Meryl and Paul, can you lead the Kaddish, the Kiddush, the Bruch, the Shalom Aleichem and the Shroy? Okay. Take a book. I think I'll just see here. Let's go for Adon Olam. 625. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, God bless. Fine. 625. Adon Olam. Can we go a fast one? You. Come on, go back to your parents. Shabbat Shalom, Brucha, no clapping, no clapping. Brucha, that's for you. Brucha, that's for you. Thank you all. Come, join us,
Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Happy Chanukah.
Shabbat Shalom and happy Chanukah to everyone.
Thanks.
Ah, thanks, very.
Okay, cheers, people. Shabbat Shalom.